Imagine this. You begin descending a narrow stone staircase. In the first few steps, you can still see daylight. But with every step, the light grows weaker. Soon the sky completely disappears. All that remains in front of you are stone walls, narrow corridors, and a deep silence. The air changes, cooler than the surface, heavier and strangely calmer. The light from the small torch in your hand flickers on the stone walls. The corridor turns slightly right, then left. After a few more steps, you reach a small chamber, then another room, and another. You start to lose your sense of direction. You no longer know which way the surface world is. Now ask yourself this question. If you had lived 5,000 years ago and wanted to build a temple, where would you build it? Probably on top of a high hill, maybe on the edge of a cliff overlooking the sea, or in a grand square where everyone could see it. Because throughout history, people's sacred structures usually rose toward the sky. Pyramids, ziggurats, temples, and cathedrals. They all reached upward. So then, why did the people who lived about 5,000 years ago do the exact opposite? Why, instead of carrying tons of stone upward, did they choose to descend into the rock? Why did they move away from the sun? Why did they choose darkness? This is exactly why the Ħal Saflieni Hypogeum, located in the middle of Malta, is considered one of the most mysterious ancient structures in the world. Because this is not just a few rooms carved underground. This approximately 5,000-year-old structure extends 3 levels deep into the earth. Corridors, passages, interconnected rooms, stone-carved halls. And all of this was built in a time when metal tools were not even widely used. Moreover, for many years, no one knew it existed. In 1902, while new houses were being built in the area, workers noticed an unexpected void in the ground. At first, they thought it was an ordinary cave. But when they went down, what they found was not a natural cave. Human-shaped corridors, neatly carved rooms. A complex structure that was clearly built according to a plan. As the excavations progressed, researchers realized one truth. This structure had not formed randomly. Someone, thousands of years ago, had put in an enormous amount of effort to build it. And it clearly couldn't have been done in just a few days or months. Hundreds of tons of rock had to be carved out. Corridors had to be connected. Ceilings had to be prevented from collapsing. And all of this was done underground. So why? Why did people undertake such a laborious task? Why didn't they build the same structure on the surface? This is the greatest unanswered question about the Hypogeum that has puzzled people for over 200 years. And the interesting thing is, scientists today can offer various explanations for how the structure might have been built. But when it comes to why it was built underground, they still cannot give a definitive answer. Perhaps the mystery begins right here, because sometimes in history, the hardest question is not how. The real hardest question to answer is why? And the stone walls of the Hypogeum have been silently asking that same question for 5,000 years. But this mystery is not limited to the structure itself, because as researchers moved through the corridors, they would encounter an even stranger detail that set this place apart from an ordinary temple. At first glance, the Hypogeum appears to consist only of rooms carved into stone. But when you look more carefully, strange details begin to emerge. Most of the corridors look similar. The rooms seem to repeat. Yet the deeper you go, the stronger the feeling that this was a conscious design. Some rooms have carefully smoothed walls. Some ceilings are carved to mimic the temples above ground. It's as if the people, even underground, wanted to recreate the architecture of the sky. This leads to another question that has puzzled researchers for years. Was this really just an ordinary place of worship where people gathered? Or did it serve a much more special purpose? This is where the most famous part of the Hypogeum appears. The small stone chamber known today as the Oracle Room. At first glance, it doesn't look different from the other rooms. But when you step inside, the human voice changes in an unexpected way. It wasn't the archaeologists who first noticed this, it was the visitors exploring the structure. Everyone who spoke said the same thing. The sound didn't come back like a normal echo. It was as if it passed through the stones, traveled throughout the entire structure, and then returned. This wasn't just a pleasant legend. Years later, acoustic experts took measurements. The results were truly remarkable. Male voice frequencies around 110 Hz were extraordinarily amplified in this room. Even today, when you speak at that exact spot, your voice isn't just heard with your ears. You feel a slight vibration in your chest. Some visitors say it's unsettling. Others say it gives them a strange sense of peace. Scientists confirm that this effect is real. But whether it was consciously designed is still debated. Because for people living 5,000 years ago, to have such detailed knowledge of sound's effect on humans is not easy to explain. Of course, caution is needed here. Some websites put forward quite extraordinary claims about this room. People entering trances, supernatural events, unknown energies. But scientific research conducted to date has not confirmed these claims. What we do know is this: the acoustics of this room are truly extraordinary, and we still don't know why it was designed this way. This is exactly what makes the mystery even greater, because sometimes what makes a structure interesting is not the theories put forward about it. It's the questions that still cannot be answered. And the Oracle Room keeps asking us the same question. Did the people who lived 5,000 years ago really want sound to behave this way? Or was this just a surprising coincidence? But the greatest mystery of the structure wasn't even the sound. As research continued, an even more striking truth began to emerge behind the corridors. Because these stone rooms did not seem to have been built only for the living. Once, the final journey of thousands of people had ended right here. And this discovery would completely change all theories about the hypogeum. As the excavations deepened, archaeologists realized they were not alone among the stone walls. The first few bones found were initially thought to be an ordinary burial. But as work progressed, the number of bones increased. One room, then another, and another. Eventually, researchers reached a shocking conclusion. Inside the hypogeum, the skeletal remains of approximately 7,000 people had been found. Just thinking about it is difficult. This underground structure that looks small today was once the final resting place for thousands of people. Who were these people? Did they belong to the same family? Or were they people from different generations? Studies conducted so far show that the burials here spanned many years, meaning the hypogeum was not a mass grave resulting from a single event. It had been used for generations. This led researchers to a new question. Why did people bury their dead underground? Of course, this wasn't a tradition unique to Malta. Throughout history, many civilizations placed their dead in caves, rock-cut tombs, and underground chambers. But what makes the hypogeum different is that the dead and the living appear to have shared the same structure. Today, many archaeologists agree that this place was both a sacred area used for religious ceremonies and a burial complex. In other words, people perhaps worshipped here and at the same time visited their ancestors here. This idea may seem foreign to us at first glance, but for the people who lived 5,000 years ago, the boundary between life and death may not have been as sharp as we think today. Perhaps for them, the dead didn't completely disappear. They simply passed into another world, and the underworld represented the gate between the two worlds. We don't know this for sure. However, the findings reached by archaeologists clearly show that the hypogeum was not just an ordinary cemetery. The rooms here were not opened randomly. Some sections were specially arranged like ceremonial areas. In some, there are spiral patterns made with red ochre. What these spirals represent is still not known for certain. To some, they represent the cycle of life. To others, rebirth. And to others, they may simply be decoration. There is no definitive answer, but this uncertainty makes the structure even more fascinating, because every new discovery, instead of answering old questions, creates new ones. Imagine, a ceremony is taking place here 5,000 years ago. There is only the light of torches in the narrow corridors. Shadows cast on the stone walls slowly move. People walk in silence. Perhaps they are praying, perhaps they are singing, perhaps that deep voice echoing in the oracle room was part of these ceremonies. We will never know for sure, because only the stones remain, and stones do not speak. But sometimes, silence can be history's most powerful witness. This is why the Hypogeum continues to fascinate scientists not only with its architecture, but also with the silence it leaves behind. But here's the interesting part. Even though 5,000 years have passed, not all the secrets of this structure have been revealed yet. Because even today, researchers cannot freely examine every section of the Hypogeum, and modern technology makes us think that these stone walls may still hide new secrets. That is exactly why the story of the Hypogeum does not end in the past. Perhaps the real discoveries are only just beginning. From the beginning of this video, we have been chasing one single question. Why did people 5,000 years ago build a temple underground? Everything we have seen so far has given us some clues. The stone corridors, the carefully carved rooms, the extraordinary acoustics of the oracle room, and the underground tombs where thousands of people rest in silence. But all these pieces still don't form a single answer. Perhaps the reason is that we are asking the wrong question. Perhaps the issue was never, how did they build it? Perhaps the real question should be, why did they consider the underground sacred? Today, when we think of sacred structures, grand buildings that rise toward the sky come to mind. Pyramids, cathedrals, giant temples, tall towers, as if holiness has always been associated with going upward. But the Hypogeum says the exact opposite. Here, people did not try to approach the sky. They chose to descend into the earth. Perhaps for them, the beginning of life was above, but the wisdom of death was below. Perhaps the underground was not darkness, but a protective shelter. Perhaps this place was seen as where the living and the dead were closest to each other. We don't know this for sure, and perhaps we never will, because they left no written explanation. No one left a record saying, "We built this structure for this reason." All that remains are the stones. The corridors remain. The silence remains. And silence is sometimes history's most difficult language to decipher. Today, researchers limit the number of visitors to the Hypogeum to protect it, because even the moisture from people's breath can damage the 5,000-year-old walls. That's why only a limited number of people can enter this mysterious structure each day. Perhaps this is a good thing, because some places gain meaning not in crowds, but in silence. Imagine, the last visitor also climbs the stairs. The door slowly closes. Footsteps completely disappear. Silence returns. Perhaps 5,000 years ago, there was exactly the same silence, perhaps the same stones, the same corridors, the same echoes were waiting for the sounds we hear today. And perhaps, even 5,000 years from now, people will continue to ask the same question. Why? Because what truly makes the Hypogeum fascinating is not its stone walls, not its age, not even the thousands of skeletons inside it. The real mystery is that it still makes us think today. Science can calculate the age of this structure. It can investigate how the stones were carved. It can measure how sound echoes off the walls. But despite all this, it cannot definitively explain why people chose to build such a place. And perhaps the beauty of history lies exactly here, because some structures do not exist to give all the answers, but to make us ask new questions. The Hypogeum is one of them. Perhaps the greatest mysteries of human history are not in the sky, but beneath our feet, and perhaps other undiscovered underground temples, other silent corridors, other forgotten chambers are still waiting for us. Because sometimes the greatest discovery is not finding something new, it is looking at the same place, this time with the right question.